Better late than never. Sorry I'm late, but Cooper insisted on riding with no hands and needed me to patch him up, Jade huffed, catching her breath as she approached the front steps of Ria's house. Ria crossed her arms, her face a picture of mock disapproval. You're ridiculous, you know that? I was about to call you a no-show. Jade flashed a sheepish grin. Just building up suspense. Besides, I brought the snacks. They were supposed to work on a science project together. A tradition dating back to the 3rd grade when they'd won their school's science fair with a homemade solar oven. This time it was an ecology project on wetlands, and as usual they'd left it to the last minute. Ria rolled her eyes and gestured for Jade to follow her inside. She led the way to her room, where her laptop was set up on her desk, and an assortment of books, notes, and snacks were scattered across the floor. As they settled in, the usual banter started up, the easy back and forth that always seemed to melt Ria's sharp edges. Jade was the only one who could make Ria, usually so intense and serious, laugh uncontrollably. It was a rare gift and Ria knew it. Hours passed, with Ria absorbed in her meticulous notes while Jade's attention wandered. At one point, Ria glanced over and caught Jade staring out the window, her expression thoughtful. What's going on in that head of yours? Ria teased, nudging her. Jade snapped out of her trance. Just wondering if we'll still be friends when we're in college, she admitted quietly. Ria's heart softened. Of course we will, dummy. Who else would put up with you? They smiled at each other, and for a moment, the room felt like their own little world, safe and untouched by the pressures of the future. Sorry I'm late, Jade panted, running up to Ria on the soccer field the following Saturday. Her helmet was still on, her bike leaning haphazardly against the fence. There was a parade in town, held up traffic for like ever. Ria tried to hide a smile. She'd suggested they meet up to kick a soccer ball around, something she knew Jade would find surprising. After all, Ria was more focused on academics than sports, and Jade, who seemed to live for adventure, had found it hilarious. Since when do you want to play? Jade had asked with a laugh. Just try not to be late again, Ria said, attempting her best stern look, which only made Jade laugh harder. Relax, you know your looks don't scare me, Jade grinned. They spent the afternoon racing across the field, their laughter mingling with the warm breeze. Jade had always been the more carefree of the two, and being around her was like catching a break from reality. For the first time, Ria let herself relax and just be, sharing jokes, trading stories, and forgetting about everything else. It was only a few weeks later that Ria found herself standing at her mother's funeral. The sun was too bright, the air too warm, and the grass too green. Everything felt wrong. She stood with her sister, clutching her hands tightly, feeling like she was about to collapse. Then she felt a familiar presence beside her. Sorry I'm late, Jade whispered, her hand brushing Ria's, hesitant but steady. Ria's emotions boiled over, an anger and sadness she hadn't known she was holding. Why are you always late? She snapped, her voice cracking. Couldn't you just for once? Jade's face fell, but she stayed silent, not moving. Her eyes were full of understanding, and the anger quickly drained out of Ria, leaving only exhaustion and grief. She turned and started to walk away, but Jade followed, and when Ria finally sat beneath a nearby tree, Jade sat beside her, offering silent comfort. After a long pause, she reached into her bag and pulled out a small box, handing it to Ria. Inside was a silver locket, engraved with small vines, her mother's favorite design. Ria opened it, revealing two tiny photos, one of her and her mother from years ago, and another of her and Jade, arms slung around each other, both grinning wildly. On the back, a tiny message read, "Always here." Rhea looked up, meeting Jade's eyes, and in that moment words weren't necessary. A few months later, Rhea insisted on driving them to a college tour. "You're a menace on the road," she said with a smirk as Jade climbed into the passenger seat. Jade chuckled, tossing her bag onto the floor. "You just want an excuse to boss me around," she teased, but Rhea could see the faint blush that rose in her cheeks. They drove in comfortable silence, the landscape rolling by, both lost in their thoughts. Rhea was focused on the road, but she felt Jade's gaze on her more than once, her warm presence filling the car. Halfway there, the car suddenly sputtered, jerking forward before grinding to a halt. Rhea barely managed to pull over, gripping the steering wheel in shock. "What was that?" she gasped. Jade laughed, an unexpected sound in the tense moment. "Guess the universe had other plans for us." Rhea groaned, but the corner of her mouth lifted in a reluctant smile. "Looks like you're going to be late again." They waited together for a tow truck, sharing memories, talking about their dreams, and laughing over the silly things they'd done. The sun rose higher, casting golden light across Jade's face, illuminating her freckles and the gentle smile that always seemed to make Rhea's heart skip a beat. "You know," Jade murmured after a pause, "being late doesn't seem so bad when I'm with you." Rhea glanced at her, her pulse quickening. "Me too," she admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. They sat in silence, their shoulders brushing, the warmth of Jade's hand close to hers. When Jade looked up, Rhea couldn't help herself. She leaned in and their lips met, a gentle touch, a promise that time could never take away. The world around them seemed to fade, leaving only the two of them, their own little universe finally aligning, even if they'd taken the scenic route to get there. They pulled back slowly, their foreheads resting together, both barely breathing, as if any movement might break the spell they'd cast over themselves. For a few precious seconds they were silent, letting the world melt away, each listening to the other's heartbeat in the quiet sunlit car. Then Jade laughed, a soft, disbelieving chuckle that Rhea felt in her own chest. "You know, I used to think that you didn't even like me," Jade murmured, her voice a bit shaky but her eyes bright. Rhea raised an eyebrow, amused. "What gave you that idea?" "The fact that I've driven you to every school event you're always late to, or that I put up with your constant chatter." Jade rolled her eyes, playfully nudging her. "Maybe it's because you look like you're constantly annoyed at me." Rhea couldn't help but laugh, and her hand reached out, finding Jade's once more. "I'm not annoyed usually," she said softly. You're impossible. But I'm realizing I kind of need that." Jade squeezed her hand, her smile softening. "I'm always going to be a little late, Rhea. But I'm never going anywhere." Rhea felt a warmth in her chest that she'd never been able to fully understand before. It wasn't just friendship, not exactly. It was something else, something that had been slowly building inside her. And now, after everything, after the years of silly arguments, of whispered secrets, of moments of quiet support, it all felt crystal clear. They leaned back, both quiet, the air between them comfortable and light. Eventually, Rhea reached for her phone to check on the tow truck, finding that it was still running behind. She looked over at Jade, who was fiddling with her hands and looking out the window with a soft, thoughtful smile. "You know, maybe you're right," Rhea said, a grin forming. "About all those times you said it's okay to be late." Jade turned to her, surprised. "Since when did you believe that?" "Since I realized that we've got all the time we need," Rhea replied, her voice quiet but certain. They sat there under the rising sun, the world passing by them, But for once, neither felt in a rush. For the first time, Rhea didn't mind being off track, didn't mind the wait. They had a journey still to go, college tours, uncertain futures, the endless ticking of time. But none of that seemed to matter right now.